Alright, this is just a quick guide showing how to get under 14 minutes on the Fast Castle Age in the Art of War in Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. So, you'll see the medal times for this are 20 minutes, 17 minutes for silver, 14 minutes for gold. The time is actually for whenever you first click the Castle Age, Advance to Castle Age button, which means it's not the amount of time it takes for you to get up into Castle Age. I think you can technically, with some civilizations, get under 14 minutes up to Castle Age, but it's very specific. And that's not what this is testing anyway. So you'll also notice I don't have golds on everything. Some of them are pretty hard. You actually can't see my cursor. Alright, so this tells you your objectives. You actually only need to do these things. Well, technically you need to go up to 29. But a lot of what comes up over here will just be suggestions. You don't have to follow everything that the guy says to a letter in order to finish the mission. So the first two things I do here, let me rewind a little bit. First thing I do is I select the town center and I queue up. I shift queue up villagers. So shift Q, I actually use Q as my hotkey for the villagers. So I hold down shift and tap Q with my other finger, and that queues up to 5 villagers. I can only queue up 4 because you only start with 200 food. So 4 villagers in the queue, and then I immediately, you can see me here, dragging a box over these two to drop a house. Again, over here with 1 villager to drop a second house. You'll always want to start with 2 houses.
Have 2 villagers build 1 house.
And then I immediately send my scout over to collect the sheep. Sometimes sheep will be close enough to one of your units at the very start that you can control them immediately. If not, you'll have to send your scout or a villager over to change their allegiance over before you can take them under your town center.
To look for sheep.
You want to do that as quickly as possible because you'll lose time collecting the food off of them. You also absolutely want them from here, 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 here. Anything in this space here is under the town center. And what that means is that, well, you'll see, you always want to take animals underneath the town center if possible.
Do this until you have 6
so you see I split off one of the sheep to put him in a nice spot, and then told everybody to go collect off of them. So the reason you want them under the town center is that once a villager has a full inventory of whatever resource they're collecting, they need to drop it off someplace. And for most things, like if you're on a wood line or collecting berries, that means they have to walk off of whatever they're collecting from, path their way over to the nearest drop-off point, and then touch it, and then walk back. Technically, in this little 3/4 area of the town center's footprint, they are inside the hitbox. So as soon as they're done, as soon as they have collected a full inventory of food or the sheep gets finished, the food automatically gets deposited. They don't have to walk anywhere. They don't have to bump into each other. They don't have to figure anything out. It just goes instantly into the town center. And that's why you almost always want food underneath your town center. Meanwhile, I'm sending the scout around to find everything else, and you'll see I just clicked the next sheep and put him on top of the corpse of the last sheep, Another thing I have, you can see the little white health bar going down. That's an option. You can have the amount of resource on a resource shown. I use that for sheep to tell when I need to get ready for the next one to come in. And then once I have 6 on sheep, there, I found both of my borers, by the way. Alright, so I did 2 things here. I have the garrison flag for the next villager set on the sheep corpse. Kind of tricky to click on it specifically while a sheep is standing there, but I did it. And then
The next villager that you create must build a lump.
I waited until all 6 of them are here, so these are the 6 that are going to be killing sheep for a while.
Camp.
I shift click them. They're working on the body that's underneath this sheep. I shift click onto the next sheep so that they know to immediately start on that one once the
Not
first
forget
sheep
to
is
queue up
done.
more villagers as well. When they are created, task them to.
Then I set the next garrison point over here. Then I thought better of it. I wanted it over here. I don't remember why I decided to do that. I thought this wood line was better, but it's not. So this next villager, the 7th villager, comes out to make a lumber camp. And here I'm arranging the sheep. Every time a sheep gets finished, I put another sheep under. And then I shift click the shepherds
If you are
working on
relatively
one
new
to the next
luring
one.
boars, you should research loom.
So here what I've done is I specifically want her working on this side of the lumber camp so that she's not bumping up against this guy as they work over here. So I grabbed her, told her to walk here, then held shift and clicked on that tree. If I hadn't done that, she might have like walked over here and gotten in here to try and chop it.
Town center after your next villager is trained. Experienced
Just
players can
fidgeting
save
them
loom
around for a
later.
little cleaner work.
The next villager that you create will have to build a house.
This is one of those suggestions that you don't really need to pay attention to. I've got enough people working on wood right now, and I have no pressing need for more wood immediately. So what I'm actually going to do is have these 2 make a house so that I don't have to think about it later.
Near one of the boars.
You see, I'm still putting sheep in manually just to keep that clean. These guys working on this sheep have not moved for a good couple minutes now. They've just been constantly dumping food in.
Set the rally point of your town center on your forage bushes, and have the next villager that you create build a mill next to them. Lure
This
the
guy's going up to lure the boar. There's a
boar
trick
your
to
town
how I
center.
do this.
You should know how to.
So, I don't have loom. If I take too many hits, this guy will go down. So I have to do this very specifically each time. I will click, right click on the boar, wait for him to fire once, wait to confirm that the boar is following him. You don't have to shoot at the boar a second time. You can shoot a second time if it takes too long, but you want to make sure the boar is actually chasing after you.
Lure a boar by now. If you do not, play the.
As soon as I make sure that the boar is definitely chasing me and within visual sight, the boar's visual sight of the villager, I immediately task them to walk away. You don't want to shift task because they currently have an objective, which is to fire at the boar until the boar is dead. And if you hold shift and click, then they will continue firing at the boar until the boar is dead and then try and walk down there. But they're not going to win that fight. So you have to just click.
Early economy challenge.
And then as soon as he's got the order to move, I do shift click to path him over to this side of the house, because what I want him to do is I want him to walk under the town center with the boar chasing him, so that when the boar goes down, it goes down under the town center in the same area that those sheep were going down in. So watch.
Do not forget to keep training villagers.
Now, while all this is happening, there's also this lady going out to berries. You don't have to build the drop-off point immediately before you start collecting. The worst thing that'll happen is you forget, and she'll walk back with a load of berries before you build a mill over here.
Town center should not fall.
So, one of the tricks to bring boars down more smoothly is also very dangerous if you don't have many fine actions per minute at your disposal. But if you practice it enough, it gets pretty reliable, and that is to shoot the boar twice with 6 villagers garrisoned in the town center, and then immediately ungarrison them, and then let the villagers land the final blow. You can also do it with 5 or 4 inside and do 3 volleys. You can do it with more villagers inside 1 volley if you're careful. But you absolutely have to be ready with your ungarrison hotkey, because if the town center lands the last hit on the boar, then all the meat is wasted.
Idle.
So I select everybody. I make sure that there's 6 selected, because sometimes you'll have somebody else working on a sheep underneath there, or somebody nearby, or somebody who just got made. And you'll have 7, and you'll fire 2 volleys and waste all the food. So I select them all, and I hit T, which is my hotkey for garrison. You can see the little door cursor. I garrison. You can see the boar is trying to bump its way around this house. Fire once, fire twice. I right click over here because I want them to all go over to this side, so that they're out of the way of these 2 coming in. They walk over here. This guy still has a little bit of... he's gotten hit, I think, twice now. And now I select all these and tell them to shoot the boar down. Now, I had just killed this sheep, which is a little sad. It's a little wasteful. You want to finish off any sheep that have been slaughtered before going on to larger animals. That's because just the way the math works, the decay on smaller animals wastes more per animal than the decay on larger animals. So now I have 7 people working under the town center. They're all working on that sheep, and I shift click them over to the boar. And I also put the town center ungarrison or gather point on that boar, so that new villagers will be going onto the boar. A lot more people can work a boar at a time. It's a little bit bigger. It has a lot more food on it. You also notice I shift clicked everyone from the sheep onto the boar. I did that because if shepherds run out of food on a sheep, even if there's another animal type underneath the town center, like right next to them, they will go try and kill another sheep rather than moving to the next food source unless you tell them to go to that food source. And obviously I don't need another sheep brought in. I have a boar here to work on.
For the second boar with the next villager that you create. Do not forget to keep training villagers. Your town center should not fall idle.
Wait. I was idle for a little bit there, right?
Lure the second boar with the next villager that you create.
A little bit of idle time here.
Do not forget to keep training villagers. Your town center should not fall idle.
So this guy's going to bring in the next one. Same deal. I queued him over here and then up here. He's going to drag the boar under this way. I need to get stuff ready. I also need to drop off food so that while working on boars, villagers carry more food, which means it takes them longer to drop off the food they're holding. So if you select them, right-click on the town center, and then right-click back on the boar, they'll manually drop off enough food for you to queue up more. Now here I just happen to select exactly 6. Not reliable to do that, but I got lucky. basically, and I got 6 here, so I can do the same
Have the
exact
next 3
trick.
villagers
2
also
volleys.
forage.
And now there is something in the way here, but it's not completely blocking his path. So it's easy enough to grab these guys and finish off the boar right there in a nice spot. It's a little early. You actually want to wait until your first boar is a little more exhausted, but I wanted to get it out of the way. The food decay isn't a huge factor. The main thing is just making sure everyone's working and that you don't kill everything at once. Now, what I did here, I sent my scout around, and then you saw I put a marker up here behind these deer. I was thinking about pushing in the deer, but you don't need to do that for this. The game forces you to make a lot of villagers, and you'll have plenty of resources without pushing in deer. I think deer are almost more trouble than they're worth usually. At least at a low level. So now everyone's going to work on this. I've got these guys, I believe, already shifted so that once they finish this, I shift click on this boar so that they won't bring in another sheep wastefully. But now I want to peel some people off of working underneath the town center to other tasks. So I garrison them and then send them to the berries. 2 reasons I do this. One is that when you garrison a villager, it drops off whatever it's carrying. And that's just convenience. Like, you can right-click on the town center and then to the next place, but what they'll do is they'll then walk to the edge and then stop and go wherever. If you garrison them, then select the town center and put the ungarrisoned flag on the thing you want them to go to, and then ungarrison them. They'll all pop out on the side that's closest to wherever you told them to go.
Send the next 6 villagers that you create to collect wood.
So I've got 1 lumber camp. I want a 2nd lumber camp. Just because this is a sparse wood line anyway, and more than a couple, 4 or 6 villagers will start bumping into each other and chop the wood too quickly.
To collect wood from in case of an enemy attack.
So there I just decided I didn't care about pushing the deer and I sent my scout off somewhere else. So now I have more lumberjacks coming out here. Game wants you to have around 10 lumberjacks, which is a pretty good number. Here I see that the boar is almost done. I peel off enough to leave, it looks like 6 villagers here under the town center because I've still got sheep. So I peel off some, I garrison them, I tell them to go someplace else.
The next villager is trained. When your last boar is depleted,
So there's that sheep done, and then I've got 1 more sheep. Let's see,
when your sheep are nearly exhausted, start building 8 farms.
So you want to keep close to 6 people working on any animal that's underneath your town center. It's just a good round number.
Send the next 3 villagers to build a mining camp and mine gold.
It says 3 villagers. I think I only sent 2 actually. And see, now as this is run out, I start putting the farms down. I don't plant them all right away. I think I wanted more wood.
You will have enough village.
So right here, it finally unlocks the ability to click up. You have to have 26 villagers out and another one in queue for it to let you click up. I could have clicked up a ways before this, especially if I had pushed deer in, for example, but that's what this scenario wants.
Train. Cue the feudal age research at your town center.
You can see I only have 2 people on gold also. I did not do loom. I didn't need it to bring my boars in. So that saved me 50 gold that I won't have to collect to go up to Castle Age. Since you start with some gold. 150. Which means I can put more people on food, more people on wood.
Not much to do while you wait to reach the feudal age. Keep scouting and keep an eye on your villagers to make sure that they do not go idle. Once you reach
I've got like 8 berry pickers here, so they're exhausting those berries pretty quickly, which also means they're gonna have to transition to farms soon. Making this many farms is a little wild, but for Fast Castle, it's whatever.
Queue up 2 more villagers while you
Without
wait
horse
for the feudal
collar.
age to be researched. Have them and any other idle villagers collect wood once they...
One last thing. This guy was chopping this straggler tree here, and then I grabbed him and told him to make a farm here. When that happened, 336, 276.
Queue up
Right.
2 more villagers while you wait for the
286.
feudal
Okay,
age
other people are dropping
to be
off wood.
researched. Have them and any other idle villagers collect
But the
wood once
trick
they are
that I was
created.
trying to show off is right when he finishes building that, he actually drops off the wood he was holding. So I didn't waste a whole lot of wood. I wasted the rest of that tree because I didn't chop the rest of it, and it gets deleted by the farm. But if you have somebody working on a resource and you tell them to construct a drop-off point for a different type of resource, or technically the same one even, they actually drop off whatever they were holding, even if they're not at the correct drop-off point. But if you grab somebody who is working on berries and just tell them to go chop a tree, they will lose the berries, the food that they had collected. So you're not being wasteful if you have them construct a new lumber camp, because when the lumber camp finishes, they drop off the food or whatever else they were holding. Same for gold, mines, same for mills. I was pointing out that I had plenty of wood here to start changing these guys over into farms. I have 9 lumberjacks, which is less than the game wants me to have, but the game also expected this to be a little sloppier, probably. I also have 2 villagers queued up behind Feudal Age, so as soon as Feudal Age is in, they'll start producing villagers immediately. And I have exactly enough population cap to get that done.
Now,
So, the game wants you to build a blacksmith with 1 villager and a market with 2. I build the market with 3 and the blacksmith with 2 just to shave a little bit of time off, and because I have plenty of wood anyway, and I'm using my lumberjacks for
task
that.
1 villager to build a blacksmith, and task 2 villagers to build a...
Notice I also shift click. Anytime I'm building a building that isn't a resource building, I always, almost always, shift click the villager back onto a resource of some kind. So these guys, as soon as they finish the market, they'll walk back and start trying to chop this tree. Same with these guys in the blacksmith. I'll shift click them back to wood. That means there's never a villager just kind of standing there after building something
market.
until way later when I have other priorities.
Hint, if you have more than 900 food stock...
They ask you to build or do double bid axe. That's a really good idea, but I want to make sure that I click up to castle, and I don't know if I'll have an extra 100 food before that happens.
stockpile. Research double bit axe at your
before
lumber
these
camp.
2 buildings
This is a
complete.
very good early technology.
See, I have just over 200 food, or 200 gold, and I have about 850 food once these 2 buildings come up.
Great.
So technically I could just cancel this villager and go up a little bit faster, but I think the game forces you to have 29 villagers before it'll clear this.
Now advance to the Castle Age. Excellent.
Alright, and there is the Castle Age. It's not when you click it, it's when it queues up. So I have 29 villagers. All the rest of this is just recommendations, basically. I never built loom, I didn't have enough gold miners, I didn't have enough lumberjacks for a long time, but I got up 13 minutes, 18 seconds.
You have completed this challenge.
In-game time.
Hopefully you are happy with your time. If not, feel free to try again.
You see, I only collected just enough gold to get up. Feudal Age in 1226. Time for the challenge was 1331. So that's it. That's my guide to finishing the Fast Castle Challenge with the gold medal. Yes, I didn't do any researches that would have been good to have in a real game, you know, for long-term benefits. I also didn't make any extra units or do any real scouting, obviously. This is just a training thing. But that should give you an idea of how to shave some time off of your advancement to the next stage.